MarsBars? Wait, why is this thing not working?
Hello, testing.
Hello.
What's up, Coda? How you doing?
Yo, what's up, MarsBars? Welcome to the interview. Also, don't mind the fact that it's set the team battle.
That's fire.
Welcome to the interview. Thank you for joining me today, honestly.
Of course, no problem. Thank you for inviting me on.
Oh, you're welcome anytime. How you been, man?
Been good right now. Just kind of watching over the house. Parents are in Scottsdale, Arizona for spring training. My sister's in Vegas, and I'm just kind of left to kind of watch out for the house.
Oh, that's nice, man.
So here I am, playing some video games on my free time.
The good old days.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Nothing much. Honestly, I'm doing good. Still trying to edit something. I'm not getting hit by that. To start things off, I want to ask, like, you've been known to do commentary now. Like, it's been a well-known thing nowadays. And I wanted to know and wanted to ask, like, when did it all start? Like, what made you think, like, oh, this could be a thing for me?
You know, it was just kind of for fun. At first, we had a local that I think you attended also, AFK. Kind of an old local that's been around for a long time, especially for the Smash scene in NorCal. Also ran by the same people who did Guild House. So it was like, if you support Guild House, you also support it. And at first, they were kind of limited to who was on the mic. We actually had a Ganon main, H5. I'm sure you are probably familiar with them.
Oh, yeah.
They were the one that was like, I guess, the entrepreneur for commentary for that local. And, like, they admitted it. They're like, I don't really play the game. I don't really know what goes on in the game. But I just like watching people play Smash. And they got into commentary simply for that fact. That they wanted to, you know, be a part of the action. And for that being said, you know, they kind of gave a lot of players an opportunity to maybe check it out themselves. And I think one weekly, I just showed up, and pretty much the mic was open for everyone. I was pretty concerned, like, oh, is this like an open mic thing for anybody? So I was like, well, if anybody could just hop on it, then sure, you know, I'll take it a shot. So I think it was me and Zelda fan. We decided to get on. We were commentating a couple sets, and it just felt pretty natural. You're just talking about a video game. It's a local. Commentary isn't necessarily taken seriously, but you can have fun with it to an extent. And I kind of got my feet wet because of that. And afterwards, I've just gotten a lot of compliments. They were just like, dude, you have a voice for this shit. And I was like, really? I mean, it's just for fun, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm just chilling. But if I really got a voice for it, then that's cool. But I didn't really think of any opportunities that I would probably go for commentary, because I would just go to locals just to go to locals, you know? And then Guild House kind of just had that opportunity open, because I never really went to any other locals besides AFK and like Versus Reborn, which Versus Reborn is a different story, because, you know, that later down the line became more of a thing that I'm there for only commentary. And, you know, Guild House at first was a little, like, I don't know if the word is, like, exclusive, because I don't think it's exclusive.
Like, they had, like, certain people that were only allowed to do it?
Yeah, like, it felt like there were specific names that you knew for sure were going to be on there. So you had, like, the Snorlax, the X-Reds, the Telmos.
Yeah.
You know, Jet the Jenga when he was there, you know. It was cool. But one time, I think Snorlax, you know, he listens to a lot of NorCal local commentary. And he heard good word from me. So he just figured I might as well also, you know, get you on the mic, because that'd be kind of cool. So did a couple local commentaries for Guild House, X-Red, Snorlax, Jet, Felmo. They all told me the same thing. And then from there, I kind of just got very comfortable and very happy to be on the mic. And from there, I guess I didn't really realize I was really pushing it to like a level that I made it to, at least at this day and age, where now I'm being invited to go to regionals and majors.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a surreal feeling. So, you know, you kind of just do something for fun, but if you do it enough times and you feel like you want to just work on it, then, you know, some people will actually take note of it, and it's really dope. So, honestly, that's kind of a message to a lot of other people who are trying to get into some ventures in their own scene. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to, you know, give it a shot. Because the chances are, your local scene is probably wanting more people to get involved in certain aspects of the game. So, you know, decided to do some bigger commentary opportunities for places such as Genesis Black and, you know, Genesis itself, which was really a great opportunity, honestly. And then, of course, our own regionals and Arcadians. You know, now we're also having some talks for some bigger tournaments that might be happening in the near future, which I do hope come to fruition, because that would be a really awesome opportunity for everyone. But yeah.
So about you just said like there's like big tournaments that are planning to come out. Are you obliged or are you allowed to like state those tournaments, or are they still like kept
nothing
secret?
is public or announced, therefore anything I say may not be correct. So therefore, for the sake of consistency, I don't really talk about it.
Okay, fair.
Unless it's known to the public.
Okay, that's fair. But what should we at least expect as of what you guys got now?
It's, you know, gonna be a big event. That's pretty much all I can really say on that. It'll be local. It'll be in the NorCal scene. But more details will come probably in the later days. Just right now, nothing's set in stone, so I don't want to say anything out of line, because I know some of the people that are working on the event are also not 100% sure what the true details of everything going on is.
Okay then. So even though you did commentating and as a joke, or like not as a joke, but as like a casual like thing that you thought it was fun, and now it's transpired into you now being honestly partially well known for being a full-on commentator for the NorCal scene. You're also a really good player when it comes to picking up a controller in this game, and
I'm alright. I'm alright.
Okay, buck up.
Yeah.
Okay, buck up.
I do appreciate that comment.
I recall there was one run you had at Guildhouse where you actually top 8'd a run, and it was something that everyone was kind of expecting to see, or was like hoping to see, given that since you go to Guildhouse most of the time, you'll get like around 13th or like 9th or something like that. So I just wanted to ask you, like, how, when you got 7th, or like when you got that top 8, how did you feel?
If you want me to be totally honest, I didn't even know I made top 8. I kind of just thought I was just playing pretty good, because I mean I was winning a lot of sets in losers. I didn't really know where I was in losers. I just knew that I was fighting for my life still. And the only way I knew that I was out in top 8 was I went to go report my set. And then Warren just told me, like, all right, well, do you want to play your next set immediately? I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, it's top 8, but it's still best of 3. I'm like, oh. Oh, cool. All right, cool. That's awesome.
Huh.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about, like, placement or anything like that, but that's cool to know that I made it to that point. I
think if I'm correct from my data, I think you're the actual like first and only Jigglypuff to get top 8 at Guildhouse, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think I don't think I really played any other character in bracket besides Puff, and if I did, it was probably as a joke, or maybe at SF State when I'm just doing random diddles. So for me, making top 8 at a local, I'm not saying it's not a big deal, but it's just like, okay, you got high enough, but like, now the real question is, can you win? I feel like, you know, you go through levels and phases as a player, especially when you're new. Your goal is to take, you know, well, first of all, when you're new, your goal is to win a set, right? Not a lot of people have the privilege to say that I'm good enough to take a set off somebody. And once you start doing that, I guess at that point, can you start improving in bracket? Can you start? I'm dead.
No.
But
No.
yeah, but yeah, it's a matter of can you go far in bracket, and then if you can go far in bracket, I think like the idea of like wanting to take PR wins, and I think I think a lot of people have this common thinking that I have. I think taking PR wins in any region you go to is cool and all, but I just don't think it should add on additional pressure as a player in terms of your improvement, because you can be in a region full of like amazing players who don't get the acknowledgement of like say a ranking. Because in reality, the eyes of like majors and super majors only take account of players top 5 in their region. They don't care about everybody else.
Yeah.
Sure, everybody else should be acknowledged, at least at a local level, that you're good enough to beat everyone else. But at the same time, it's like, if you're able to beat PR players, it says a lot about you that you're capable of doing it. But also at the same time, don't sweat it if you don't make it happen. I think you should worry about the #1 thing when it comes to going to locals, and that is, are you having fun? Are you improving? Do you feel like coming to these things are making you feel a little better? Like, at least in some sort of macro perspective. But everyone has different goals when it comes to playing any game, honestly.
Yeah.
Not everybody plays this game wanting to be like, I want to be the best player in my region. Some people just genuinely play because they're like, I have friends that go to these tournaments, so I want to be a part of the action too. And then they make friends and shit like that. And yeah.
I feel like not a lot of people talk about it, and it kind of concerns me a lot because most of the times and most of likely is that people just want to win. They want to be the best, which is of course based on everyone's mind. But I don't think a lot of people understand that. Okay, first of all, how did you get hit by that? First of all,
I'm not even thinking. I'm just autopiloting.
But yeah, no, not a lot of people talk about how when people have this mentality of, oh, I want to be the best, I want to beat everyone, I want to be the best in the world. It makes a lot of stress on them, and their mentality kind of goes down, and I think it's something like that people don't talk about, that I'm kind of concerned, or like I'm curious why people don't bring it up as much.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've had these conversations with a lot of different players, and I think it's really important to acknowledge that a lot of people don't really view this competition thing as like necessarily their goal in life, and that's totally valid. You don't want to like, I don't want to ruin someone's dreams, and like if they want to be like really good at this game, then you know what, all power to you. I really have nothing against that.
Yeah.
But some people have to acknowledge that maybe that's not everyone's goal, and I also think that people that do have these goals for themselves shouldn't like feel bad about not like reaching them at a level that they think should be able to happen. So what I'm trying to say is, don't let any sort of like goal that you have in mind take over your life in a negative way, especially if you are doing this in the meantime. Like, this is something you're doing now, you're acknowledging that you're doing it now. But I also don't want to discredit the players that are actually just really good at this game, and they want to be acknowledged at a level that is super high. Then all power to them. Yeah. I just think a lot of people should really prioritize their personal health. If anything, I've had conversations with players who have literally told me, I'm not going to disclose any names.
Yeah, of course.
Disrespectful. But there's people who have literally told me they only play this game because that's all they have. And if you really think about it, like, you want to help them, but at the same time, they're not okay with this lifestyle, but they just don't know how to break out of it. So I think a lot of times that's when community should set in, especially for any region. Players are people, all right? They have a life. They have emotions. They have things going on with them that may or may not always correlate with how you think are going on with them. They might put on a smile for you at locals. They might, pretend everything's all good and fine. But when you really get down to the nitty-gritty of things, everyone's fighting their own personal battles, and not everyone has it good. And if they think going to locals is all they got in terms of like feeling good about themselves, that's fine. But also, it's important to acknowledge that some of these players, they just need people to talk to. And it's important to at least acknowledge people's feelings in that manner.
No, I honestly agree, and I'm really happy that you brought something like this up, because again, not a lot of people talk about this, and it's really concerning, because again, I have heard people and heard stories like you said of people feeling like this, and no one talks about it at all.
Yeah.
So again, I'm really happy that you brought that up.
I think mental health is also just a really important topic in general, not just in games.
Mm-hmm.
Because, there are people that really would like more of an opportunity outside of just what they do here. And a lot of them don't know where to go. A lot of them don't know where to turn. But also at the same time, a lot of them are not asking for a suggestion. They just need someone to talk to. They just need someone to, hear them out. Understand this is my situation. I don't need a solution. So a lot of times, I know that when people want to talk things out, they don't want to hear you give answers. They don't want to hear you give suggestions. A lot of the times, they just want to know that you have a pair of ears that you can offer. And I think it's important to at least give those players that kind of an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Not feel like everything they got to talk about is going to make them get put under, a negative light. Or maybe not even negative. Or maybe, in a different viewpoint that those people have of them. So you're going to be like, oh, this person, they're, super negative. And, they don't want to fix themselves. So they're just going to be written off as, a weirdo or something like that. And I just don't think that's good.
Yeah. You did mention before that during when you were talking about how some people are honestly good but don't get talked about during when you were talking about how people would be good at playing the game but don't get recognition. I want to ask you something. Out of all the people you know, or out of all the people in your region, so SF or North Bay, whatever you want to be associated with, I don't mind. Even who do you think is good? Who do you think, in your opinion, is on the up and coming?
That's a great question, actually, and I think a lot of people have taken note of some players who have definitely been showing some really huge progress and improvement in their play. Some of them have been around the scene for a very good amount of time, but it just took them up until this point to finally really hit that pivot point in their, in their Smash progression. And a couple of them that come to mind are actually, I'm sure you know of Titus, who now goes by Curveball.
Mm-hmm.
Kid's always been exceptional. Thing is, he's also a full-time student athlete for college, and he also plays baseball. So realistically, he can't always play the game at a volume that is as common as everybody else, right?
Yeah.
But when he does go to tournaments, he'll make some runs, and it's very good how well somebody like him can kind of just take very not minimal but satisfactory amounts of muscle memory to really put together a solid performance. And recently he's also been kind of killing it, and I really like seeing it. So Curveball, one of them. Another one who recently just had a really solid guild house too, Gust, who's a Wario from Livermore, I believe. Really showing prowess in his development. I remember he was just going to kins that were 5 people deep, and he would just kind of have easy pickings at those people. But then you get the stack brackets, and you're like, all right, can you do it again, but with more, tougher players in mind? And he can.
Yeah.
And he's the way he plays Wario is also just a little different from most Warios. You know, a lot of them will play for time, but for him, he's down to be aggro as fuck with you, and he makes those type of players who are used to that customary lifestyle of the Wario gameplay really have to think twice about how they have to deal with it. And it's really awesome to see that, you know, especially with his recent performance. He took one, I think, off of Netsboy.
Yeah.
Which, you know, obviously Netsboy is another player who's always consistent been a top player in our region, for at least the next year. So, Gust, Curveball, there's other people in mind. There's a lot of names, honestly, but I think a lot of them, it's like they're known to be good, and it's not like me saying their name is going to make it any different. But I've seen some really good play from also Ampha, Bea player.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen some good play coming out from M4, Brawler. Focus is a Peach, who's also just been improving ever since they went out to Reno for an internship, I believe. And they came back a lot stronger player. I think a lot of these names I'm bringing up are mostly East Bay, because I think East Bay is also a side of NorCal that doesn't get a lot of light.
Yeah.
Because their players have to travel the most.
Yeah.
Like them and Sacramento, they got to deal with actually 1 hour plus commutes to the bigger tournaments. And when you see them, you hope they play at their best, but it's not always going to be the case.
I feel like when it comes to like people talking about whole NorCal region, it will mostly just be, of course, when we're talking about people out of region talking about NorCal, it's like all the Louis Money, the Nestboy, Karama, and then even when you have people from inside of NorCal, it's mostly either SF, North Bay, the ones in San Jose, and they even talk about South Bay, but I feel like, honestly, in my opinion, East Bay is probably the most underrated one out of the NorCal scene, and probably, and in my opinion, probably the strongest hidden sub-region in NorCal.
You know, we always talk about like the strongest sub-regions, this and that, but I also feel like as general NorCal, I'm down to just have every single part of our region be good. I don't want just like certain parts of our region to be good. I don't want people to think that, you know, these guys are bad and these guys are good. I've had people who have never been to SF tournaments that are from different sub-regions go out and they will quote-unquote underperform based on how they think of themselves. But my opinion is you can't knock them till you try them. It's like the classic phrase that you can tell someone is just don't knock it till you try it. Don't disregard a player's ability until you've actually seen it for yourself live in action. Because I think everyone also can agree that if we make our region stronger, we can also make our region more competitive, and therefore there are chances that if we do see them go out of region to different tournaments, they have that upset potential in them, and we can give them that full support from the back to at least acknowledge, yeah, these guys can kick our ass, but they will kick your ass at the same time. I mean, for me, like, realistically, I'm from a sub-region that has no locals. I'm not from, the ones that you named. Peninsula is what I represent. And we're a group of people that I like to consider the air nomads. Like we had a whole Avatar The Last Airbender theme, and like legitly, like Peninsula is the air tribe because we have no home. We just go elsewhere to find a home because everywhere else has things where we can actually attend and try our best at. It's really funny to put it that way, but it's just the honest truth. And we got players in this side of NorCal with no locals. You got myself included. Other people included are Zelda fan, Seagraves, Enna, Microsoft. A lot of us, we're from San Mateo, Redwood City, Foster City. We don't have a home, dude. But when we go to other tournaments, we try to at least do our best.
I do want to add, there is also one question. So, you just, God damn it.
It always happens, right?
No. One of the questions I was going to ask you is that you probably When did you play Smash? Like, how long were you around the scene for?
I've only been around for 2 years. I've only played competitively for 2 years, and a lot of it is just because we all played Smash like casually with friends and stuff. Like, just go to kickbacks, get-togethers, parties. Somebody had a Wii for Brawl or a GameCube for Melee. And then I guess when Ultimate came out, I was thinking to myself like, oh look, it's another Smash game. Maybe I can get my friends from college to get into it because they're all gamers. So we're like, okay, they probably like Smash. So we all got into Smash and we all started messing around with the game. And then we found out that like our university holds locals, and I went to USF. So of course, the local scene at USF's Smash, there was not a lot of people. I think I'm really happy to see that there is a lot more people involved at USF tournaments, because I think also when the game just came out, you go to a local in 2019, it's not as like huge, it's not as like big. Not everybody has like gotten familiar with the game yet. Some people haven't even bought a Switch yet, so like it's a little different. But I think it's cool that we went from just playing casually to then being suggested like, oh, you guys are pretty solid at this game. Maybe you guys should try out like our locals and see if you guys would be good enough to deal with the players who literally condition themselves at a competitive level with this game. So I never went to those locals because I never had time. I actually had classes that were on Wednesday nights, and it's funny enough that Wednesday is still the day of choice to have a local, and I just never had time. And I was involved with like a lot of other extracurriculars, so I didn't have time to really sit down and play video games. But it was cool to see that there was, something out there where people were playing this game, for something. There was no money involved, but there was gift cards. That's cool. Like, yeah, I want a gift card to Starbucks. I'm a broke college boy. I'm down for that shit.
When you're tryharding for the $10 gift card to Chipotle.
Honestly, because that $10 gift card to Chipotle, that's gonna be my lunch for one of these days, man. It's a big deal for me. I started paying attention to like, I've always watched competitive Smash, but I never got into it. Melee, of course, being my starting point. Ultimate, started watching a lot of people just play Wi-Fi brackets. I just thought that was like, oh, that's cool. There's an online scene for this. That's pretty dope. I thought it was just only in person. So
yeah,
I came that with the mixture of also starting out streaming because I also needed something to pass the time, considering that I wasn't really doing anything but work full time over the pandemic. I wanted something to like also fill the time since you can't really go out.
Yeah.
So I started streaming, and one of the first things I started streaming was just me playing Smash. And I wasn't really a Puff player at the time. I was kind of just playing every character I wanted. I was just kind of fucking around with people. I think the Jigglypuff thing didn't really come around until, unironically, just watching HBox brackets.
Really?
Yeah, HBox runs were hilarious, but also like, it's always fun to watch the underdog always try to win a tournament. And he tried to do it with Jigglypuff, which at the time, before she got like slight buffs, she was like a pretty dog shit character. Now she's only like a semi-dog shit character. But, she has good perks about her that make her kind of broken. And when I was watching HBox play against people in Wi-Fi brackets... I'm sorry.
No!
When I was watching HBox play Wi-Fi brackets, I thought like, yo, Jigglypuff is kind of cool, but also, like, she dies early, but she has, like, a lot of potential to do some crazy shit. So I picked up Jigglypuff, and I didn't go to tournaments with her. I just played Elite Smash with the character a lot more. And I didn't hear about, like, NorCal's scene of tournaments until maybe it got brought up while I was streaming. I think one of my friends were like, yo, I heard there's like a Facebook page for this tournament called Kin. So I got introduced to Revival of Kin, and that tournament was my first offline tournament, I guess. So I met a lot of the NorCal people there, but I also just didn't know how to like assimilate myself. Like, my first impression of the region was, in order to get warmed up for this tournament, I warmed up with two specific people. One of them who don't even actively play Smash anymore. I was playing friendlies with players like Wei and Shrudix. They were my first practice partners. And, yeah, taking a stock off them at the time is not possible. So I was thinking, like, is this how people play? Like, Jesus Christ, I feel like I'm not even able to get in. But luckily, at that first tournament, I was able to take my first set. But then shortly after that, immediately went, like, 1 and 2. Because I lost to, I think, Moonboy Josh into Never Pull Out, which are 2 solid players.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I couldn't figure that out because I went back to school to finish a quick associate's degree in accounting. So all my days at night were booked, so I couldn't even go to the other tournaments that I found out about, like Guildhouse and Versus Reborn. I can't go to tournaments anymore. So for a whole 3 months, I was just forced to play online, which, you know, that kind of sucks. But
so, were you a Wi-Fi warrior at that point, or were you only playing Elite Smash?
I was just playing Elite Smash. I didn't really play. I mean, I played some Wi-Fi brackets, but it wasn't at the level of like all the time. I just played whenever I had the time. Then this is when it gets funny, right? This is the historic namesake of MarsBars. I go to my first Guildhouse weekly. I went to the monthly because it was on a Saturday.
Yeah.
But I didn't know there was, you know, a Wednesday version of this tournament. So I was like, all right, I think I have time because my class got canceled. Shout out to my professor canceling class because I would have not known an opportunity to go to Guildhouse would come about. So I go to this weekly, and my round 1 was Twan. And I remember specifically not knowing anybody. I don't know anybody in this scene. So, like, I just see a name, and I'm just like, okay, that's just my opponent. Sick. So I see Twan, and I was able to take the set off him. Round 1. And I remember going up to Javi to report my set. And the first thing Javi gave me was a side eye. Because they were like, no, you did not beat Twan. Yeah, I don't believe you. It's like, what? Wait, I beat the guy. I can even show you the setup that I was just at.
I got proof. Believe
yeah,
me.
I got proof. And they were like, okay. And then I guess Twan went over there to like verify with Javi, like, yeah, he did beat me. And then Javi's like, oh, okay. So I go to my round 2, and they looked at me so perplexed because they were like, "You're not Twan." I was like, "Who's? Why are people thinking that I'm not supposed to be here? My bad. I'm just trying to go to a tournament.
I'm just trying to win. I'm just trying to have fun.
Yeah, I'm just trying to have fun, man. I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
Goddamn, God.
Right? But then, like, I ended up going 2 and 2 at that tournament. So I was like, oh, wow, I did pretty good. I got 2 sets, including Twan, which was a PR win at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I wonder what happened to the guy that I sent to losers in round 1. Twan won 7 sets in a row in losers. Made top 8.
Yeah.
And I was like, who did I just beat? And then I joined the Discord for NorCal, and the first thing I read in the Gen chat is, who the fuck is MarsBars? Like, why is this a big deal? I was just like, I didn't know it was a big deal. But apparently it was, and ever since then, people were just like, oh, it's the Twan killer. I'm like, dude, what does that even mean?
The Twan killer.
I didn't know there was merit to beating specific people in bracket. Like, my bad. I guess the next, like, chapter in that is then Versus Reborn. It's a tournament that now I actively advertise for because I'm now a TO for. It's crazy because at the time, it was just a tournament that I was just going to try and get better, or at least, you know, play the game for. And then once I started getting into commentary, now I've become what the owner of Versus Reborn, the whole building. They go by Capsule, but his real name is Joe.
Yeah.
Very, very amazing individual. He's also really good at all fighting games he touches. So he's that kind of a player. Unfortunately, he's not good at Smash, but it's fine. He's good at Street Fighter, King of Fighters, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Melty Blood. You name the game, he'll probably own you.
Oh, he's
an
FGC player.
Yeah, but Smash, we'll give him more chances, maybe. As much as I would love to be around the local scene all the time, I don't want to just go somewhere for commentary and leave, you know. But, unironically, I say that now, but now I actually do that at Guild House more often than I want to admit. I literally just go there just for the vibes, and I think that also just came with time, getting familiar with the region. So, I became what we consider a whitelisted member of the community, which is somebody who is VIP. They get treatment of like a staff member, but outside being a staff member, which is cool. Which means I get my venue fee waived off, and I'm allowed to be here for any tournament I want, whenever I want, and I don't have to pay the full price. But of course, that has come with me being genuous, because then there got to a point where I started giving pop bonuses to the tournament, because all this money that I was saving from these tourneys, it really is really nothing to me. It's like pocket change. Like if I save $10, to me $10 is pocket change.
Okay.
So I've done pop bonuses for that tournament where I've thrown down $100 just so I can get more people to come to it, because Versus Reborn at the time was a dying tournament series.
Yeah.
Snorlax was dropping down as a TO and needed to focus on his, you know, his other endeavors. And we were only getting like 5 to 10 people to this tournament. So it's like, what are ways to get people to come? And unfortunately, some of those ways are add more money to the pot. But also get more top players in your region to show up to your small locals, so it gives people an incentive to show up and be like, hey, if I beat this guy here, it will count for, you know, my personal namesake. Like,
yeah. Cool. Like, I'll get more growth for my career.
Yeah, I'll get more growth. Exactly. And it worked. We went from being a 5 to 10 man tournament to now we get on average like maybe 20 on a bad day. It's really.
And it sounds like, and like to people that sounds like kind of like, okay, that's fine, I guess, but like that's like huge income when it comes to like tournaments who.
Oh yeah. We were on the brink of like shutting down Versus Reborn for Smash, because they still had other tournament series happening for other FGC games. But Smash was just like, you guys are not getting numbers, you guys are going to get taken off our rotation. And that sucks, because I didn't want to get rid of it off a rotation. And then we started getting more people to come out, more people from like away from NorCal per se. They moved in, became regulars, namesakes. And for that reason, we started getting more people to want to come out to shit, and it's really awesome.
Honestly, that is really amazing. I don't think people, well, especially people who joined the NorCal scene nowadays, know about this, and always thought that Versus Reborn was just kind of like a big local that would go on.
It was happening from the dawn of time, really. Versus Reborn, a lot of people don't realize, was a different name before Versus Reborn. And they hosted the first NorCal weeklies for Smash 4. The same company, the same staff, production, everything. They were the ones responsible for starting Smash 4 for NorCal, and they've been going on for years. But for them to have Ultimate, and then of course Ultimate came out at a time where there was a pandemic brewing, so the peak of the community hasn't even hit yet. And unfortunately, Versus did not acknowledge that could be a factor to maybe the game not getting a lot of people showing up. And it's good that now it's a little different. I mean, their tournament series for Ultimate started like back in, I think, early 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So this was like right around the time the pandemic was going to become a concern. And with that, we just didn't get the numbers for those tournaments, because there were other tournaments getting better numbers, like Six Rugs and all those OG ones. I don't know what else was going on. Wednesday Night Fights in Oakland. Those tournaments were getting all the people showing up. The Versus, they were like, you guys already have enough big locals. We don't need to make another big local. But I'm glad that it at least evolved into what it is considered now.
And I'm glad to hear that too, because I feel like because I remember seeing a tweet from HBox saying like honestly one of the main people that gives the community, the Smash community as a whole, like more hope and praise and more attention are the people who run these grassroots tournaments who barely get like 10, 9, or like at worst, like at their best, even like 15. And they'll still keep running those tournaments. And I feel like, and like HBox says, I feel like those are the true people that bring the Smash community together as a whole.
Oh, absolutely. And those people have kept the scene going for as long as they did. And I'm happy that they have. And we have those tournaments even today. You know, we got tournaments that people acknowledge as like really small outcomes. Like Kin, you know, not the same that it used to be, but on a given occasion, it will get some good numbers. You got Smash the Galaxy, who also a long-running tournament series. It's also kind of losing people showing up all the time. But when people show up, it's like awesome. It's like a renaissance. People are now giving their scene more of a look. And now you got tournament series that now there's not a lot of people that are willing to take on those TO responsibilities to keep the series going. And therefore you have tournament series dying. Like I know we just found out about T-Sports.
Yeah.
They've been going on for a long time. They've been going on since the start of Ultimate. And they just have no one to pass it down to, and they're just like, you know what? I think we should just, this is it. So I think a lot of people are going to, you know, try and show up to that, because regardless of it being a tournament that might be out of the way, it is like the fall of something that has given that specific section of NorCal's some prowess for tournaments. I might even go to it. It's going to be a long drive, but, you know, I don't think a long drive has ever stopped me from going to local.
Honestly, when I asked you to be interviewed, I was actually really excited about this because people in SF and North Bay kind of consider you like the one person that you can talk to, or for like knowledge or like insight, wisdom at most, because people have talked to you, and I've seen in group chats, I've seen it even in person, people will talk to you for like advice, wisdom, either on life or in game. And so when I asked you to be interviewed and you said yes, I was actually excited because, again, knowing and seeing people ask you for many things throughout either their careers or even with their personal lives, I was really hoping, and the word interested on what you might have to give me for these questions.
Things that I've already had given internal dialogue to, especially when I talk about in Discord servers or tweets.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk about people's mentals, like that's just a thing that like it just comes across as a topic of discussion that should be had. But you know, it's weird that I have a lot to say about it, but when I'm asked the question, I almost feel like I'm fumbling my words a little bit. But I'm glad that I was able to at least put together something for you guys, like whoever's watching this video, of course, and of course for you to like get a review of everything that was said today. At least I was able to say what needed to be said and give it some light. It is important that people should acknowledge that players need guidance when it's asked for, but a lot of the times people just need to be there for each other, and I think that's what community is all about.
Mm-hmm.
We all have our people in the community that we go to, and you know, a lot of the times I'm happy to hear that people consider me as somebody they can trust with what's going on in their life, as someone to allow them to have this opportunity to let it off their shoulders. And you know, I even had a recent talk with X-Red at Versus Reborn too. We were talking about how I didn't realize this, but apparently a lot of people in the panel can also agree with me. A lot of the words and things that I say actually have merit, and people, you know, listen to me. My opinions are something that people don't take lightly, which now I have a responsibility as a person to also not provide with the worst thing to say. But I also don't think that even in my best interest, I wouldn't want to say something that's going to stray things way too off course.
And I think I only have like 2 questions to ask you.
Okay.
And one of them being like the usual question I asked the Skeletal and Pure Salt when I interviewed him. And that question is that if someone were to ask you, like someone new were to join the scene and were to come up to you at a local and they were new and they're like, do you have any advice for them? Like, what would you tell them? Like, what's one piece of advice that you will give them to a new player?
To a new player, I would say, advice to a new player: embrace the early struggles. Not a lot of people that just enter like the scene is gonna immediately assimilate themselves as like good enough to deal with everyone. There's gonna be growing pains. It's okay to have bad days. That's just competition. Everybody's playing in a similar setting. But also don't feel discouraged if your first tournament is bad, because that just means that you just need to get more familiar with how people play. Get friendlies. Don't just show up to a tournament, do what you have to do, and then go home. Take advantage of the fact that you're also paying to be in that venue to also ask some people. Don't be afraid to ask some people for games. Don't be afraid to, have questions that maybe you're unsure of about the game or unsure about like the region, the people, the resources that are around. There are so many things that new players don't get to like necessarily find out about until later, because of course they never ask the question, but that's just like not their fault most of the time. I think a lot of the time is just they don't even realize that they have those resources to begin with. And, if given the opportunity, they should just at least know the basis of who they're talking to, who they can talk to for future like things, and like just have fun. I think the biggest thing also, if you're going to a video game tournament, it's a video game tournament. Just have fun. Enjoy the time you have with people who have a similar interest in Smash, just like you. Get to know a lot about the game, learn about your hobby, and just expand yourself. Don't make it seem like something that is not just more than going to a bracket and then going home. Really take the time to get to know your personnel, really take the time to know what it means to get better at the game, and also just don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just have fun.
I think that is well-spoken words, and I think what you said really encapsulates on what the whole community, or like the whole point of a competitive gaming community is all about, and I think you worded that really well.
Yeah, and it, like I said, not everyone's playing at locals for the same purpose. Some people are just here for the social aspect of it all, and some people are only here for the competitive side of it all. And fun fact, all those reasons are all just as valid. So if you have a reason for going to locals, you don't know what it is just yet, also take a little bit of time to like kind of figure out yourself and why you even go to these things. Like, what do you want to get out of it? Everybody has a purpose in getting something out of it. So if you feel like you doing well at a tournament is what's going to allow you to be happy with what you get out of it, then by all means, aim to do better at the tournament. If your purpose is to make friends and learn about people that are maybe same age as you, similar interests, get to know people at a social aspect of the community, then yeah, do that too. I think they're all just as valid, and I think they should all be acknowledged as such,
God damn, I should have lived too. I didn't expect the rest. I think just to wrap things off, and again, this is another question I asked the other two. When the next Smash Games comes out, or given like 5 years when Smash Ultimate is still a competitive scene and still thriving, where do you see yourself in the future? Like, do you see yourself still competing? Do you see yourself like at least like going fully commentating, or do you see yourself getting good?
That's a good question, and I think like I said, it goes back to that whole idea of everybody has different goals. I think, funny enough, a lot of the things I've already done at this game, at least at like a surface level, I've been able to accomplish. Like, I know what it feels like to win a local, which is cool. I know what it feels like to run a tournament. Being a TO is also something that is pretty stressful, I'm not gonna lie. running Magitech and Versus is not easy.
Oh yeah.
Tournament series that every day I get stressed about fucking carpool conflicts and all that other bullshit. But yeah, I've won locals before. I've ran a tournament before. I've commentated for events before. I've commentated for paid events before. And, you know, I think being able to have all those experiences already in just 2 years, some people have been around competitive Smash since, like, Melee and Brawl, which is awesome. But I feel like I've done everything I ever wanted to do in this game. So I think when it all's said and done, I think I'll just keep on doing everything, maybe in a different volume. If I do end up getting more opportunities to commentate other big events for Smash Ultimate, or maybe other events as well, with Smash included, I would be more than happy to still keep on going with that. I think I see myself still playing this game for fun. I mean, shit, if we're still playing games like Melee for fun, I'm sure Ultimate will also kind of have that lifespan. As much as we talk about, you know, other Smash games maybe not having as much of, I guess, fluidity and livelihood. I still like playing Smash Ultimate. It's the only big reason why I still go to locals. I still have fun playing this game. And even if I don't do well in bracket, it's not really about the bracket at that point. I'm usually just there for friends. Because after being in the community for such a long time, I almost know everybody's face and matches to everybody's tag. And I just know who to talk to. And I just feel like there's a lot more than just playing a video game that allows your Smash scene to feel very welcoming.
I'm really happy to hear that, and honestly, I'm super happy that you took your time out of your day to be a part of this. So thank you very much. It was an honor, and I was very happy to interview you today, because I feel like you gave off a lot of answers that I feel like most players were either needing to hear, or something that the community as a whole don't usually talk about. And so I'm really happy to have you on here and like give your side of the point on how you feel about all of this. And again, you taking your time out of the day to be a part of this interview.
I appreciate it, man. And, you know, like I said, wish I was a little more better prepared, would have maybe made my answers more concise, but I'm happy to at least give them the time. I'm sure you're able to edit out what's more important out of the things I said, because I also feel like I've repeated too much. But by me repeating too much, that also just means that's how important it is.
Yeah.
Just highlight those things. But yeah, thank you for having me on. And hopefully people, when they get to listen to this, they kind of learn a thing or two about me, and they learn a thing or two about what it means to keep on playing this game.
Exactly. And with that being said, if you want, you can plug in your Twitter, anything you want to plug in right now.
Oh, yeah, sure. So outside of playing Smash Locals, I have a Twitter. You can follow me at, it's a very long one, but it's at M Valenzuela 650. Valenzuela spelled Valenzuela. You can find me on Twitter. Feel free to also follow me on Twitch, because I do stream more frequently than I expect. But recently I've been kind of taking a hiatus off it because, you know, real life priorities kind of take more of my time. But when I do stream, it will happen at Twitch at X_MarsBars_X. And if you want to find me on Discord too, you can just kind of DM me on the side, because other socials I keep to myself unless they really need to know. But follow me on Twitch and follow me on Twitter, and that's all I gotta say.
Okay, man. And with that being said, that's gonna be it for the interview. Again, thank you, and I hope everyone has an amazing day.
All right, take care, guys. Thank you.